Right. There we go. There we go. There we go. What's good? What's good, everybody? Hope everybody is having a good weekend. It's Sunday, right? Getting ready for another week. Y'all, the conference, the Grind to Grad conference was great. If you missed it, you missed a good one. You definitely missed a good one. But look, I still got more stuff coming y'all way. Still gonna be dropping content that's gonna be great for parents. But I when I tell you I poured everything I had into it, it was a good one. It was a good one. So welcome y'all. Welcome to another Sunday College and Career Convos with me, your host, Fred Johnson IV, Mr. I'm gonna graduate, your favorite college success coach. Not your second favorite, not your third favorite, your favorite college success coach. And y'all, every Sunday, we're having real conversations about how to help students to be successful. Particularly if you're a parent of a high school or college student, these Sunday conversations are geared toward you. Because if you look at any statistics, it will show you that parents who are more involved in their child's education, they do better. They do better in school. My parents were real involved in school, right? And it helped give me the motivation to want to perform well. It helped give me the accountability to perform well. And so I'm here to give parents the tools and the resources so that they can do what they need to do. So if you see me looking around, it's because I got Facebook up, I got Instagram up. What's good, y'all? Hope you're tuning in. I'm gonna try to keep my head on the swivel so I can catch. I'm the second. I got you. I got you, Tivion. Um, if you got questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, drop them in the comments. I like this to be engaging. And so again, I'll try to keep my head on the swivel so I can catch everything. But the best way to join is on YouTube. So if you're on Instagram, if you're on uh, Facebook, hop to YouTube. Find me on YouTube, Fred Johnson the Fourth, Frederick Johnson the Fourth, and hop on YouTube. Right, I'll be able to see the chat directly if you want to engage. So let's dig in. Let's dig in. Oh, one other thing. Gotta plug the book, y'all. If you haven't got your copy of Grind to Grad yet, you got to get your copy of Grind to Grad. Right, this book is going to change the game for high school and college students who are in college, who are aspiring to go to college. So make sure you go ahead and cop that. If you want a copy of the book, just type book in the comments. I will send you the link to get your copy. But let's dig into this content. Let's dig into this topic. So last week I had a lot. I had to break it up into 2 points. 2 points. Last week, two parts. Last week we talked about if your child is failing, what do you do? If your child is failing at school, what do you do? How do you get them from failing to flourishing? We covered 3 points. The first point was, and I got my notes here so I can make sure I don't miss anything. The first point was that you gotta learn why, right? You gotta figure out why they don't care about making good grades. I know it's a harsh reality, but if your student is not making good grades, 9 times out of 10, I'm not gonna say 9 times out of 10, but one reason could be is because they don't actually care about making good grades. So you got to find out why. You got to find out why school isn't important to them. Right now, there of course are some students that are trying real hard, and we get to those comments. But the first thing is figure out why. Figure out what's going on. Get to the root of the cause. The second thing you want to do is really connect short term to long term success. What are the things that they can do in the short term, and how does that connect to where they want to be in the long term, whether they want to go to college or not? I talk to students, and oftentimes they want a home, they want a nice car, they want a lot of freedom of time, they want to be able to vacation. And you don't necessarily have to make good grades to have those things, but work ethic is going to be important. You're not just going to be gifted those opportunities. You have to put in work to create that type of lifestyle, right? Not only do you have to work hard, you have to work smart. And so you have to really think about and connect for them what are the things that they're doing in the short term and how does that connect to life in the long term. Make that connection. Make that connection. And then the last thing I talked about was celebrate the small wins. Your child is putting in work, right? They are trying. But you got to celebrate those small wins, whether they participate in class, whether they pass that quiz, whether you see them dedicating themselves to studying. Celebrate those small wins and affirm them. Make sure that you affirm them so that they know I see you. I see what you're doing. Tonight, I'm going to dig into 3 more tips that can get your child from flourishing to failing. And again, engage with me. Drop comments in the chat. Drop comments. Drop your opinions. Drop your questions in the comment section because I want to know what you think. I want to know what questions you have. I want to know what tips you have. What's worked for you in the past, right? And so let's get to these tips. My next tip number 4. Got 3 more tips for you. Tip number 4. Does your child actually know their learning style? Because if they don't know how they learn, they're not going to know how to study. And if they don't know how to study, then they're not going to pass that test. So they have to know what their learning style is. If you just Google learning style quiz, there's a bunch that you can find online. Have them take a learning style quiz. Are they more auditory? Are they more visual? Are they more kinesthetic? Right? Do they absorb things better by reading it? Have them take that test, and if you know how they learn, that can help you figure out ways to create more fun and engaging ways to study. I know not everything is going to be fun when it comes to studying. Some stuff is just going to be rote memorization. You got to sit down, you got to memorize it, you got to commit it to memory, and you got to be able to spit it back. But learning can also be fun. Studying can also be fun. You can make it fun and challenging. You can create games, right? There are a bunch of Quizlet. Quizlet has a game function on it, right? It can create games out of it. I think there's another one called Study Blue. StudyBlue.com has another great software that can make learning fun, right? Maybe, and also you could be creative too. You could just Google. Again, Google is going to be your best friend. Google what are fun ways to study, fun ways to learn at home, and go ahead and try to develop new ways. Of course, you still got your child still is going to have to put in the work, but if you can have that be fun, if they can make that a more fun experience, a more engaging experience than just sitting down, just reading notes, then that'll be fun. Maybe using color coding, right? Maybe you have different color highlighters, and as they're going through their notes, they're highlighting different things, different colors. It depends on what is most right. If they're a visual learner, drawing pictures, drawing diagrams could be a much better way for them to learn, for them to study. If they're a kinesthetic person, maybe doing more activities, right? Maybe having them get up and move a little bit more and get active, right? Maybe if they're auditory, you can find something on YouTube where they can listen to it, right? Find something that's going to help them learn. But helping making that study time more fun and more engaging can be good, right? Also give them breaks, right? If they're studying hours and hours and hours to, a few hours at a time, have it be something where they can be rewarded for studying, right? Maybe studying itself can't be that fun, but what they can do is you can reward them for getting that homework done. So, hey, you worked for 30 minutes. Let's take a 10-minute break. It's called I believe the Pomodoro technique, something like that. Something like that, right? Where you study for a certain amount of time and then you take like a 10-minute break. For every 30 minutes, they could get 10 minutes of video game or social media, and then they got to get right back to it, right? It's good to take those brain breaks because it allows them to have more sustained focus over time. So that's another way you can build more fun or more engagement into studying, and have it be something that over a 2 or 3 hour span they can withstand that time for studying. Because studying is tough, right? Your brain is at work when you're studying. And so they need that brain break. They need to be able to get that brain break. So find a way to make studying fun. Have them learn their learning. So how do they learn? They need to learn how they learn because then they can learn how they study. And even more so when they go into class, right? Because studying is only one piece of it. They also have to put in work when they're in the class. It can have them pay attention in ways that help them for things to be a lot more stickier in class, right? A lot more stickier in class. Another thing too, and I know this is going to offend some parents, but if your child is struggling that much and they aren't receiving accommodations, you should really have your child get tested, right? Have them get tested. You never know. They could have dyslexia. They could have some type of learning disability that you're just unaware of. And I know this is a situation where parents will lead with their pride. You got to put your pride to the side in this situation. Your child has to put their pride to the side because this could mean that they need some extra help. They need some specialized help, right? Some specialized support. And so by being able to seek out that testing from a specialist, you can discover if there's something that they need, right? If there's something that they need to be able to perform better in the class. So don't be afraid to get tested. Don't be afraid to get tested because you never know. If you're unsure of who to talk to at your school, talk to the counselor, talk to a teacher, talk to a speech therapist at the school, talk to somebody at the school that can help connect you with those services. And a lot of times, at least when it takes place within a school setting, that's going to be provided for free. That's going to be free 99, right? They're required to provide those things. So go and get tested. So take a learning test so they can learn their learning style. Give them frequent breaks throughout that study time and have them look into a specialist. Those are all things that can help. My next tip for you, get their reading level up. They gotta get their reading level up. I used to work for a reading organization here in New Orleans, and if a child doesn't learn how to read on grade level by the third grade, it becomes a lot more difficult for them to learn later down the line. A lot more difficult. And if you look at the statistics for incarceration and a bunch of dropping out of college and job, reading does it all. If your child is reading on grade level, they're going to perform higher in math, they're going to perform higher in English, they're going to perform higher on standardized tests. Reading, if you're gonna put, I'll be honest, if you're gonna put all your eggs in one basket, put it in that reading bucket. So if you're a parent, you're watching this and your kid is in middle school, elementary school, make sure that they can read on level. Have them take a reading test so you can see where they are. And I'll be honest with you, if your kid is in high school and they're struggling with reading, you want to look into getting a reading specialist. I was just saying this on the conference the other day. Parents invest a lot of money into a lot of things that don't have any kind of return on investment for their child. No, it doesn't improve your child's ability to perform well. And I know every home situation is different. So, but for those of you that have enough discretionary income to invest time in a tutor or invest time in something that can help, look at a reading specialist. This can help. This can help. I'm thankful that my parents invested the time to buying Hooked on Phonics, to buying different things, to buying different books that we worked on over the summer. They took time to make that investment, right? Think about what are the things that, as a parent, that you're spending money on that is a non essential where you could cut back and build money into the budget to save to get a reading specialist. Get a reading specialist. If you can't afford a reading specialist right now, just get books at your students' grade level and start reading them. Whenever there's a word that they can't pronounce, write that word down. Look up the definition. Anything is going to help. But as a parent, you have to put in that effort too, right? Because your child is not going to know what to do. They're going to get stuck. They're going to struggle. But that struggle, fighting through that struggle is going to help. Fighting through that struggle is going to help them not only build confidence, but also show them this thing that I once thought was impossible, this thing that I once thought was hard and difficult is actually something that I was able to overcome because I put in the work. And if I apply that same effort to things that I do later in life, I know if I could overcome this challenge, I could overcome any challenge. And make sure you remind your student they've already overcome challenges. Now let's apply it to this reading. Let's apply it to this studying. Let's apply it to this class that they're struggling in. Because if they really put their mind to anything for long enough, they can do it. Because I guarantee if you talk to them about the team that they were trying out for, or this instrument they were trying to learn, or if they play video games, this level that they were trying to pass, ask them what did it take to make the team, to get to that next level, to become good at that sport. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of dedication. It took some coaching. It took practice. It took an intense focus. If they took all of those same things and applied it to school in the same way, I guarantee you they will blow through any challenge that they experience. Any challenge that they experience. But sometimes they don't think of it the same way. Just like I talked about last week. And especially in high school, it's not necessarily a cool thing to be smart. It's not cool to be smart, right? You're made fun of. You're trying to be a teacher's pet. But I'm telling you, the students that are focused on doing what they need to do in high school are the ones that reap those same benefits in college and in life after that. Again, that's not to say you can't be successful, you're not successful in high school, but just like college is the training ground for being a professional, high school is that training ground to really develop foundational mindsets and foundational skills that will help them to be successful in college and successful in life. So focus on that. Of course, have fun, be social, run for homecoming court, join the clubs, go to social events, have fun, be silly at times, right? Be respectful, but be silly at times. But also, you're in school for a reason. It's to get your high school degree, right? High school diploma. You're in college for a reason, to get your college degree. So use that as a training ground to really focus on what's important. Because I'll be honest with you, all those friends that you have that you call friends, 10 years from now won't be your friends. I'm friends with two people that I went to high school with. Two people that I went to high school with. But if you ask me how many friends I had in high school, I probably at the time I would have told you I have a lot of friends when they were really associates, people that I was just cool with, or people that I just knew by name and could have a conversation with. I didn't actually really have that many friends when I think about it. But that's the area that you need to focus on. All right. The last tip that I have for you, and this one is gonna be tough because I know parents are in different situations. You have different amounts of time, but parents, if you want your child to go from failing to flourishing, you got to get in the trenches with them. You got to get in the trenches with them. You're asking them to study. You're asking them to go to school every day. You're asking them to pay attention. How much work are you putting in? And you might already say, I already got mine. You trying to get yours. That's the easy out. I'm trying to get mine, you got to get yours. Why don't you put in the work too? Because and I know it's been a while since you saw some of that math, since you saw some of that English. The reason why I want you to put in work and get in the trenches too, because it's going to remind you of how difficult this is. If it's hard for you, imagine how difficult it is for your child who doesn't have years and years and years removed from school. So you need to like learn this stuff. You need to teach them how to do it, right? And let me say this, not necessarily teach them how to do it, but by you being in the trenches with them to help them figure it out, is going to help you build empathy because you're going to understand how difficult it is for them. Now, even though you might not necessarily be able to learn how to do three-step equations, you know where you can come in at is you get there right there on the computer with them and you go on YouTube and find somebody. Find somebody who can teach your student. Find somebody on YouTube who can break it down in 5 to 10 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes or less. And that way you're learning with your student, right? You might not be able to pick it up as fast, but if they see you invested in learning with them, they're going to be like, oh, they're not letting this go. You got to get in the trenches with them, get in the mud with them. And don't give up until they get it. Now I know work schedules might dictate certain things, but you know what you could do if you understand where your child is failing and where your child really needs help. Let's say you work nights, right, and you're not able to be there like that. You know what you can do is on your break, take 5 to 10 minutes to look up. All right, they're on this topic in math. I'm going to look up videos to send my child. I'm going to look up videos to send my child, right? That's going to be able to help them. That's going to show them like, ooh, they're invested. Another thing you can do, make sure you're going to parent teacher conferences. My parents, they were at every parent teacher conference. Every single one. Now, eventually they stopped because teachers would be telling them the same thing over and over again. And this is for those parents where your children are already excelling and you're hearing, oh, they're light, right? But again, this is not for those parents, right? This is not for those parents. But if your child is excelling, you still need to go. You need to ask one major question: how can my child be better? What can they do better in this class? If they say nothing, they can do nothing that's better. All right, how can they help other children do better in this class? Right? Because now you're developing that leadership. But if your child is failing, when you go to those parent teacher conferences, figure out what are they doing in class, right? When I taught, I've had parents sit in class for those children that were acting up because they want to see what they're doing. Now, of course, on those days, those will be the days that the child is acting right. But if you're a parent and you go to those parent teacher conferences and you can learn more about what is happening in class, now you can get an idea of where are they sitting, who are they sitting next to, what are they doing while the teacher is teaching. When you're invested in that education, in their education, it's going to develop that urgency and it's going to develop that accountability because they know that the buck stops with you. And if you're a parent who's not a teacher, y'all don't understand how hard it is to like really do certain things in the classroom when you as the parent aren't even holding that child accountable at home. If you're not holding them accountable, it's hard to do it. It can be done, but it's a lot easier when you know as a parent, as a teacher, I have this parent has my back. This parent has my back, and they're going to make sure that whatever I'm doing, like really the parent teacher conference is a time for you to get on the same page as the parent. Maybe that's what I'll do the next live on, the top 5 questions to ask, the top 5 actions to take during and after a parent teacher conference. Let me write that down. Parent teacher conference. Maybe that's gonna be next week. Y'all let me know too in the comments. What do y'all want me to talk about next week? I always want to make sure these topics are relevant. So if there's something that you have a question about, let me know and we can talk about it. Let me know and we can definitely talk about it. So when you go to that parent teacher conference, and again, this all has to do with investing in your child's education. Part of it could be sitting there and learning it with them. Part of it could just be finding videos that will help supplement and help add, right? Help their ability to be able to learn it on their own and be taught. Another part is going to that parent teacher conference and asking questions. What's happening in class? Who are they sitting next to? What are they doing? Where are they struggling? Also, you want to find out what are they doing well, right? Just don't find out where they need to improve, but what are they doing well? And you want them to replicate that. You want them to replicate that and build on the foundation of what they're doing well while they're working on where they can be better. You building a strong relationship and having an open line of communication with your child's teachers is going to do a lot so that you can add to what they're doing. That helps out teachers so much when they know that parents are going home, either working on the thing, holding them accountable to doing the thing. That is going to help, but you got to be invested. You don't just have to invest with your money. Probably what's more important is that you invest with your time. Now, if you have the money, great. But if you don't, invest in the time, right? Another thing, too, another way you can invest and really hold them accountable, if your child is involved in sports or some kind of extracurricular, make sure you as a parent are prioritizing academics. I think there's a lot, especially when a lot of parents, especially when your child is talented in sports or in some extracurricular, that you allow them to just flourish in that area. But academics have to come first. If academics aren't important to you as the parent, they will never be important to your child. They have to be important to you. They have to. If it's important to you, it's going to be important to your child because that mindset means that it's going to follow up with behaviors that reinforce that school and academics are important. And really, it's putting in that effort. If they put in the right efforts and they're doing the right things, they can get A's and B's. For some, it's going to take more work than others, but it's possible. Trust me, it's possible. It's not impossible, right? But they gotta put in the work. They gotta put in the work. Gotta put in the work. So I'm real curious for y'all. What are some of the questions y'all have around this? I know it didn't necessarily take as long to get through all the topics, but I'm real curious about what y'all think. What do y'all think are some of the ways that you can help your child? Oh, another one, and this kind of is in the same realm as attending parent teacher conferences. Attend a tutoring session. Attend a tutoring session with your child when you can. I know sometimes parents are like not off work yet, but it could be helpful to see what a tutoring session is like when your child is after school. Sit down, see so you can visually see what the teacher is trying to teach. Because see, observing a tutoring session is going to help you see what the teacher is trying to do in class and what that looks like, where the student is struggling, where do they have it and when do they lose it. That's real helpful to see. So observe that tutoring session. But I'm real curious to know from y'all, what questions do you have? What questions do you have? What successes have y'all had? Has your child ever been in a situation where they were failing and now they're passing? Has your child ever been in a situation where uh they were really struggling in school and you were able to help them overcome it? How did they do it? I want to know. How did they do it? I want to know. No, if you have a topic that you want to talk about next week, let me know. I'm always open. I always love open dialogue. So, y'all, it's been another college and career convo. Stay tuned. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Fred Johnson the Fourth, FredJohnsonFourth. That's Fred Johnson the Fourth. You can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on TikTok. You can follow me on Facebook, Frederick J. Johnson the Fourth. You can follow me on LinkedIn, Frederick J. Johnson the Fourth, MED. My master's in higher education. Make sure that y'all follow me, y'all. I'm going to get better on putting the content out there, but follow me, y'all. I give a lot of stuff. I'm giving the game away. I'm trying to make sure that as parents, you have everything you need to support your child. So stay tuned, follow me, and I'll see y'all soon, and I'll see y'all on the other side of graduation.